If you have an internet plan with Xfinity and you're renting a gateway as part of that internet plan, you're allowing Xfinity to track all of your internet traffic. The biggest issue with this is that there's not really much you can do about it. In this episode from Network from Home, we're going to be talking about how this gateway is spying on you and what are some of the things you can do to prevent this from happening. So in order to understand how your gateway is spying on your internet traffic, we need to first have a high-level understanding of how your devices access websites in the first place. So what happens when a device in your home network wants to access a website, say Amazon.com for example? What happens is your device will reach out to the internet and say, I want to access Amazon.com. That request will get forwarded to your router. Your router will then forward that request to an online address book, which is called a domain name server or DNS server. The reason for this is that each website has a specific location which is tied to a specific IP address. So all of the websites on the internet will have an associated IP address with them, and that's why you need to reach out to this online address book so you can find out with the easy to remember website names. It's a lot easier to remember than the IP addresses. You can look up the website with the website name, and then in the back end, this DNS server will give you the location of that website. So this happens every time you want to access a new website. The DNS server will look up the IP address associated with the website you want to go to. It will return it to your router, and then that will be returned to your laptop, at which time your laptop can reach out and say, I want to access this exact IP address, which is the IP address of the website that you wanted to access all along. That request goes out to the internet returns the requested website, and that gets returned to your laptop. This is the process for how you access websites using devices in your home network. Now it's important to mention here that these DNS servers, there are many different types that you can access. They all contain the same information. They all contain those websites and their associated IP addresses. But depending upon the DNS server that you query, you'll get different results and different performance. So what's interesting here is that when you set up your gateway or your router for the first time, by default, this DNS server is usually one that's hosted by your internet service provider. So if you have an Xfinity gateway, the DNS servers it will use will be Xfinity's DNS servers. The reason that this is important is that every time your devices send a request and want to access a new website, they have to reach out to this DNS server, and they can keep track of who is asking for what websites. So essentially what they do is they can build a search history log based upon your internet information and all the devices in your home network, what you're searching. Then unfortunately what they can do is they can take this information, they can send it to third parties, and they get paid for it. So basically, marketing companies, other third parties that are interested in your data, they will buy it from your internet service provider, and then they'll do with it whatever they want to do with it. You don't really have great insight into what exactly is happening with your search traffic data. Now I know what you're thinking. What if you're in incognito mode or you have your DNS requests encrypted? Well, honestly, that doesn't make a difference. Whether you're in incognito mode or regular browsing mode, all of your DNS requests will still go to this DNS server. And again, even if your DNS request is encrypted, that encrypted connection is between your router and the DNS server. So although nobody else might be able to read that DNS request, it will still be going to your ISP's DNS server, so they'll still be able to read it. So this begs the follow-up question. How can you prevent your gateway from spying on your internet traffic? Well, normally what you can do, as I mentioned before, there are many other DNS servers that you can query whenever you want to access a website. So normally what you would do is you would select a different DNS server to query every time you wanted to access a different website. So what would happen is your laptop reaches out to your router. We want to go to Amazon.com. And instead of reaching out to your ISP's DNS server, say we use an independent DNS server like Quad9, Cloudflare, Mullvad. Those are all good options. And the reason being is because these companies promise not to keep any of your search logs. They don't keep any of your internet traffic on a record, and they don't sell any of it to third parties. And on top of that, you can even get faster search results when using these independent DNS servers. So when you use an independent DNS server, the process is the same. You query this independent DNS server for the IP address of the website you want to go to. It looks up that IP address for you, it returns it to your router, and then it gets returned to the device that requests that website. And much like before, your laptop will then go and take that IP address, send it out to the internet, and then it will get returned that website that it's looking to access. So the only thing that really changed here is now you're querying a different DNS server, but the rest of the process is entirely the same. So that process of picking an independent DNS server, that would be the solution that you could normally use to avoid your gateway from tracking all your internet traffic. But the problem is with these Xfinity gateways, you literally aren't able to access the setting to change the DNS server that your gateway is using. They want to be able to see all of your internet traffic and they want to be able to profit off of that information. So they literally make it impossible to change the DNS server if you're renting a gateway from them. Let's take a quick pause here. I'd love to see in the comments section if you were as surprised as I was to hear that my Xfinity gateway was spying on my internet traffic. And I'd also love to hear if you were as frustrated as I was that there was nothing you can do about it in terms of selecting an independent DNS server. So if you can't change the DNS server that your gateway is using, are there any workarounds to this? Well, there's some partial good news here. There are some things you can do to circumvent this locked down DNS server that your gateway is using. Now it is annoying because you do need to set these DNS server settings on all of your devices that access the internet, but the good news is it is a way to prevent your gateway from spying on your internet traffic. Let's take a quick look at what it looks like on your mobile phone and how you can change your DNS server. Okay, so what you can do on your iPhone to change your DNS settings is you go into Settings, then you select Wi-Fi, and then next to the Wi-Fi network you're connected to, which should be your home network, you select this I button, the information button. On this page, you scroll down a little bit and then you go to Configure DNS. And the way that it should be set by default is automatic. And what you'll see is these two IP addresses here, these are the DNS servers of your ISP. In other words, these are Xfinity's DNS servers. So what you can do here is if you select Manual, you can remove these two DNS servers, delete, get rid of those, and then you can add your own. So here's where you add the IP address of those independent DNS servers. So for example, if you're adding Cloudflare, you just select the plus sign, and then you add 1.1.1.1. Really easy to remember, isn't it? Now the backup server for Cloudflare is 1.0.0.1. Another easy one to remember. Once you have those two DNS servers entered, you select Save. And now you should be all set. Your phone will override the DNS servers that your gateway is using, and this will take place whenever you're on your home network. Now the unfortunate thing is you have to do this for every single Wi-Fi network you're connected to if you want to ensure that you're using an independent DNS server. But if you just do it for your home network, this will cover you in the vast majority of cases. If you want to make your DNS server changes on a laptop, here I am on Windows 11, what we want to do is go down here, go to Control Panel. From there you go to Network and Internet. Then you select Network and Sharing Center. And then on the left here, we want to do Change Adapter Settings. And here, assuming you're using Wi-Fi, you want to right-click this connection and go to Properties. Then what you want to do is select Internet Protocol version 4 and go to Properties. And as you can see here, down here, it says Obtain your DNS server automatically. This would be if you're using your gateway's DNS settings. We don't want to do that, so we select Manually Configure. And then what we want to do is put in that IP address. For example, we'll put in Cloudflare. We'll do 1.1.1.1 and 1.0.0.1. Then we'll hit OK. Now it can't hurt to make these changes for IPv6 as well. So what we want to do here, select IPv6, go to Properties, same thing here. And now we're going to enter the IPv6 values for Cloudflare's DNS servers. So let me paste those in now. Once that's entered, select OK, and then we can close everything. Everything's updated. If you want to make these changes for your Ethernet connection too, if you have a wired connection to the internet, It's the same exact thing. You go to properties and then you fill out those same sections. I also need to mention that when you make these DNS server settings on your laptop, you don't have to make those changes for every Wi-Fi network you connect to. You only have to change it once for your Ethernet connection, once for your Wi-Fi connection, and that will implement those DNS server settings for all of your connections moving forward. So for your laptop and your iPhone, I used Cloudflare as the example independent DNS. I'll include a few other examples in the description down below if you want to use something different, but that is a good way if you're going to keep your Xfinity gateway. It's a good way to prevent your gateway from spying on all your internet traffic. The easiest solution is to buy your own modem and router for your home network, or a modem router combination device, which is what your gateway is, just so you can replace this and get rid of it entirely, but I'll leave that up to you. I've made another video detailing how you can use your own personal router along with a gateway, so that might be a good first step if you're not a really technical person or you don't feel confident doing this. But in any case, if you want to ensure your internet privacy, you should at least be making these configuration settings changes to your devices like your laptops and your mobile phones, just to prevent Xfinity from using your data and selling it. Also in the comments, let me know if you'd like me to make a dedicated video for how you can replace your gateway with your own modem and router in your home network and what that looks like. And as always, thanks for checking out this episode from Network from Home, and we'll catch you on the next one.